everybody, Mac here. Welcome back to the show. What we have today is Bandai Namco Demon Slayer Ultimate Legends Wave 1. If you remember, I think it was last year, I bought some of the, I don't remember if they were called Ultimate Legends, but it was 3 Dragon Ball Super figures that was done in this same style. Link right there. And I really liked those figures. I liked the articulation, I liked the sculpt, I liked the way they felt, I liked how easily they moved. The only issue was that I wanted something for Dragon Ball Z, and that figure line was very obviously going towards Dragon Ball Super, so I never really got anything else from that line. But when I saw these for Demon Slayer, these I had to pick up. Full disclosure, I just recently started watching it, and I'm almost done with it at this point. I think I'm about halfway through, like, the final story arc, the Red Light District story arc, if you know what I mean. And I knew I wanted figures of this, but I also knew, for reasons that we'll get into later in the video, that I didn't want to get the McFarlane line of figures. But when I saw these, I thought, yes, these would be perfect for this line. As far as I know, these are fairly new. I don't want to say they just came out, but I think they recently just came out, and this is Wave 1. And we have Tanjiro, we have I can never pronounce his name, Zenitsu, and we have Inosuke. So we got the 3 Demon Slayers. We don't have Nezuko yet. I'm guessing she's going to be part of Wave 2, to, you know, hype us up for Wave 2, and to also let us know, yes, there is a Wave 2 coming. The packaging for these is freaking beautiful. I love this gold trim that's going down the cut right here. I love that. I love these anime graphics on the front, and I also like the shots that we have of the figures on the back with all of this writing that we're not even going to pay attention to. But I also like how it sort of gives you an idea of the poses, of the articulation. And if you also notice right here, let's focus this in, that if we cut these, I believe this folds and opens up. So let's start with Zenitsu. And let's cut this open and see how this looks. Then we just cut along the tape right there. And we cut along the tape right there. And ideally, this. Yep, there we go. We got a really nice shot of the figure. Like, that would be, man, this packaging is really nice and would be, like, really great for display. Like, I could see somebody, like, storing it like this, putting it up on a shelf like a set of books, and then just taking it off and opening it up and taking a look at it. And you can see we have, oh, we actually have different hands and different accessories. The Dragon Ball figures, I remember, just had, like, the figure, then they didn't have any accessories with it. So that's interesting. I didn't realize that. We have different sets of hands, and I don't know if that's supposed to be a different hilt or if it's just a broken hilt. Oh, it's probably just the hilt that you put into the scabbard right there. Like, maybe the whole sword doesn't go in there. So let's open up Tanjiro and see what we get with him. Now, with this line, well, I wasn't expecting the extra accessories, but with this line, we're not going to get things like sword effects, things like that. And this one, yep, we have an extra set of hands. We have just the hilt, and then we have the full sword. I'm betting just the hilt is to put into the scabbard. Although, with Tanjiro, you could totally just pose him with the broken hilt as well. So let's open up Inosuke, and I'm guessing it's just going to be the 2 swords, maybe an extra set of hands. That one ripped. That one's really ripping. That's a bummer. Yep, we have his 2 swords, we have an extra set of hands, and we got a great shot of Inosuke right here. You know what? I didn't even look at Tanjiro's. What did we get with him? Nice water cut right there. All right. I also like how the background mist is like color coded. The background smoke is like color coded to each figure. This is really cool packaging, but you know me, I'm going to pop these open. So without further ado, let's just get these open and let's take a look at Bandai Namco High Definition Ultimate Legends Demon Slayer Wave 1. So we're going to start off with Zenitsu. Okay, so taking a look at Zenitsu right here, I love the paint job they did to this guy. There is some really good detail in here, like in the sleeves. You can see the detail in his uniform, in his scabbard, and you'll see it once we look at the katanas as well. Everything on this guy looks fantastic. I even like what they did with his hair, that I wasn't sure how this was going to translate because this is, a really odd look for for his hair, but I do like it. And look at those eyes. Look at those big mournful eyes with the worry lines underneath it. You can see the eyebrows painted onto the face sculpt right there. I think everything looks great for Zenitsu. I really like the look of him. I like the sculpt of him. Now, once we take a look at Tanjiro, I'm going to guess there's a lot of reuse between Zenitsu and Tanjiro. That I'm willing to bet most of this body is reused, but we'll take a look at that. Now, bringing it up closer, like I said, the face sculpt is really good. I wish they hadn't given him quite this frown, maybe more of a neutral face, but this just looks like he's in a constant state of about to cry. And if you've watched the show, yeah, I know who I'm talking about, but I don't know. I think they could have done something different for his expression on here. The only thing that I don't like is that you can see there's some gapping right here in the neck, and I did try to push that down on the ball joint, but it doesn't really quite close the gap. But putting it on a shelf, you're probably not going to notice anyway. But let's take a look at the articulation right now. So the head does do a full 360 spin. You get some tilt side to side. He can look up. He can bury the chin and look down. The arms will do a full 360, but because of the plastic of his robe, when it comes up to the top, it does have to come out a little bit. There is a butterfly joint in there. The arms will come up just under 90. There is a bicep swivel. He has single jointed elbows that will bring it to just about 90. The wrists will swivel. Mine are still a little tight. And they pivot in and out. I would have much rather seen these pivoting up and down. Let's get him out of the way. You can see that he has a waist cut right in there, and he can do a full spin right there at the ab cut. And you'll notice that his robes, and I forget what these robes are called. I know it's not a kimono. I forget what they call them in the show. So I'm just going to keep calling them robes because I can't remember. But you can see that these are in two different pieces so that you can, even though it's plastic, it's not cloth goods, you can get some posing, some bending out of it. You can also crank back. You can look back. He can crank forward. He has some rock side to side. Now he has a waist twist, but when I try and do it, you'll see it pops off because it just sits in that indent right there at his belt. So there's a little bit of twist, but like I said, like you just saw, if you try and use it too much, I would go ahead and use this ab cut right here. His legs will come out all the way. They'll go back a little bit, hindered by his robe right there. They'll come up to the side, but I think the robe and the sword scabbard are both hindering them. They come up better on this side. He has a thigh cut right there. Single jointed knees that come up to just under 90. The ankles, there's no boot cut, but the ankles will twist. The ankles will rock back, and the ankles will rock forward. And I like this because I don't think the Dragon Ball Super figures had that. And it does have a side-to-side rock. So all in all, I really, really dig the whole look, the sculpt, everything about this. The sword scabbard does not come out. The sword scabbard is pinned in there. I was a little disappointed in that. I would have really liked it if you would be able to take it out, but alas, that is not to be. But Zenitsu, I feel, looks really good. Now, out of the packaging, Zenitsu comes with a pair of gripping hands, and he also comes with a pair of clenched fists. Now, when I saw that there were hands, and you saw these hands in the packaging, but when I saw that he was coming with extra hands, I was really worried because of the size of these figures, how small the pegs on here would be, and if it was something that might break. But taking the hands out, you can see that's a pretty beefy peg. It's nothing small. That's a pretty decent sized peg, even for like a 6-inch figure, and it goes in with a very satisfying pop. So there's no worry about breaking the peg or them not pegging in tight. They get in there really well. Zenitsu also comes with his katana, and I really, really dig this piece. First of all, I love the two-tone on the blade, the color-changing blade, and I really love the detail work they did on the hilt and the handle of it. I forget what all of the pieces, all of the sections are actually called on a katana, but I love the gold on the pommel, the gold on the handguard, the gold underneath the wraps, and I don't know if the camera's going to pick this up, but you can even see that there is etching in the blade just above the hilt, and even that looks fantastic. Now, you can see with his gripping hand, it's pretty much a closed hand, and so you got to be a little careful getting those tassels into his closed hand, but then you just push the handle down in there, and he gets a really good grip on it, and I gotta say, I think this looks great. I think this is the, scaled correctly for this guy, for this figure. Oh, that just looks really cool. That just looks really, really cool. And then the last piece that he comes with is just the handle without the blade. And like I thought when I looked in the packaging, this is just to put onto the scabbard. You can see that there is a little tab right there, and that is molded to the specific shape of the scabbard. And then you just carefully, because you don't want to bend it, pop it in, and there you go. He has his sheathed katana, and that looks really cool too. I'm guessing they didn't want to make the scabbard bulky enough to actually fit the sword, so they thought this would be a good compromise of just giving a handle that you can pop in and out, and I'm fine with that. I'm good with that. Like I said, when we take a look at Tanjiro later, you could even use this as a prop. Use his half sword, his hilt, as a prop for him. But I think that looks really good. Up next, we have Inosuke. And here we have Inosuke, and I really, really like the look of this guy. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more texturing in the boar head right here, maybe a little bit more line work, because there's no line work right here, but maybe just some furrowed brow line work going on right there. That would have been cool. But other than that, I really like the look of Inosuke right here. I feel like this aesthetic works great on this figure. The legs are not reuse of the others I thought they were going to be, but you can see that they are different. And as a matter of fact, Zenitsu's legs don't bend forward, where when we take a look at the articulation, Inosuke's do kick forward a little bit. But there's not much to the sculpt or the paint apps rather, because most of the body is just molded in this light skin tone right here. And then we have the boar's head up top. And I love how the eyes aren't really focused, because the boar's head in the anime, his eyes are never looking in the same direction. Kind of adds to that whole wild child thing that Inosuke has going on. I don't mind that the hood sits up, that the boar's head sits up so high on his shoulders. It would have been cool if it would have come all the way down and just rested on his shoulders, but then realistically there had been no articulation at all in the head, and I'd rather be able to move it around. All right, I think the coloring, I think the detail work down here in his furred cuffs right here at the bottom of his pants, the open toes on his sandals are a little sloppy on the paint app. Let's just be honest, especially on this foot right here. You can see that there's, I don't know if that's paint chipping or if that's overspray, but you can see the toes. It's just a little sloppy. But other than that, I think everything looks really good. This is definitely a good representation of Inosuke for this figure line. Now that I think about it, though, I think I might have also liked to have seen a bit of a wash in the fur down here around his waist and up here in the back of his boar's head. But other than that, I think this looks really cool. I didn't think I was going to like him at first when he showed up in the show, but the more the show went on and the more they actually let his character evolve and grow, I'm really liking him now in the show. Now, taking a look at the articulation, the boar's head will do a complete 360, but it does scrape along the shoulders a little bit just because of how big it is. It has some decent tilt side to side. Doesn't really look up, but it can look down. His arms will do a full 360. He has that butterfly swivel in there. The arms will come up to just under 90. Bicep swivel. Single jointed elbows that come a little bit, I don't know, they just come up to basically 90. The wrists will pivot, and just like Zenitsu, they hinge in and out. Would have really liked them to go up and down. He has the cut at the waist, the ab cut right there, to give him the full 360. He can do a whole lot of side to side. He can crank back, but if he goes too far back, you can start to see the hole. He can come forward. Once again, it feels like he should be able to turn at the waist, but if you turn him too much, it's just going to pop off. This piece does interfere with the legs, that they can still come up forward, but back is very hindered. Out to the side is very hindered. He still has the thigh cut, so the leg will swivel. Single jointed knee, just under 90. Once again, no boot cut, but the ankles will rotate. The ankles will rock back. The ankles will rock forward. And we have side-to-side rocker. Just like Zenitsu out of the packaging, Inosuke comes with a pair of gripping hands. And he also comes with a pair of clenched fists. For accessories, Inosuke does come with his twin custom katanas, we'll call them. They were ring swords at first, I think is what they were calling them, but then when he got his katanas, he just beat them with a rock and put the gouges back in them. And that's something that I like about the gouges here. Now, these are both basically the same sword. They just gave you two of the same sword, so they're going to come out exactly the same. But I do like that the cuts in the blade are unevenly spaced. You can tell that they weren't designed to be that way, and it does really look like he just took a rock to it and just started beating the blade. And that's really cool. Like, I like that they did that it's not just like a uniform cut going down the blade right there. Once again, with Zenitsu's, you can see that there is some etching in the blade right there. That's really cool. I don't know if that actually says anything. Does that say something? I can't tell. And then we have the wraps on basically this. Basically, I feel like he just wields blades that are wrapped in cloth. That, like, if you took all this off, it would just be the bare metal blade all the way down. And he just pulled the handles off. But they look cool. Very, very similar to what we see in the anime. The only thing I don't like is that there is no way to sheathe these. And even in the show, it's kind of iffy how he sheathes them. I don't even think he does sheathe them. I think he just wraps them. So far, what I've seen, it doesn't really show you how he does it. It's just one point he has them hanging off his hips. The other point, he's just coming through. And of course, that means we end with Tanjiro. And now that brings us to our man, our hero, our champion, Tanjiro. And let's just get this out of the way, that yes, between Tanjiro and Zenitsu, there is a lot of reuse. You can see it in the sleeves, you can see it in the body, you can see it in the scabbard. The end cap on the scabbard is a little bit different, and the from the ankles or from the knees down is different, but the body, the buck, even the robes. Oh no. No. Wow, the robes are different. The top parts are the same. I just realized now that the bottom parts lay different. So, good job on that, Bandai Namco, whichever one of you decided to do that. It does give it a little bit of a difference so that it's just not basically Zenitsu repainted. But I was going to say that, truthfully, the reuse of the top of the robes, the sleeves, and the buck, that's really where it ends. Because just look at this face. The eyes, the hair, the scar on his forehead, the earrings. Look at the detail on the earrings. That is fantastic on something that is this small. These figures, I think, are like just under 5 inches. We'll take a look when we measure them up. But that is an intense face. That is a face of somebody that is going to chop off a demon's head. I really like the look of Tanjiro right here. And I think this works really well for this figure. Like that whole thing, there's so much detail right in here between the hair sculpt, the coloring, the scar, the color of the eyes. Just like those earrings, such small detail on those earrings. And I really love it. So let's just get to the articulation, because truthfully, it's going to be about the same of what we've seen. You can even see that there is the gap in the neck right there. We're not going to go over the body because other than this and just these right here, which now that I look at them, I really do like the detail they did on here too. Even these silver studs, the painting of the silver studs right in there. I think that's really cool. But other than that, it's basically Zenitsu. But the head will do a full 360 spin, some really good side-to-side tilt. He can look up, he can look down. Arms will do a full 360, and just like with Zenitsu, when they get up to here, they have to go out a little bit. Butterfly hinge in the shoulder. Bicep swivel. Bicep swivel. Arms will come up just under 90. Single jointed elbows that come up just under 90. Look at the color of his robes right here. This looks great. Wrists swivel. Wrists hinge in and out. Ab cut right here. Do a full 360 spin. He can crank back. He can crank forward. He gets some side-to-side action. Once again, there is a ball joint at the waist, but if you try and turn it, it's going to pop out. Legs will go forward. Legs will come back. Oh, scabbard gets in the way. Legs will come out to the side. There is a thigh cut. Single jointed knees that come in just under 90. No boot cut. Ankles will swivel. Ankles will rock back. Ankles will rock way forward. And you get side-to-side rocker. Okay, now real quick before we continue, a little bit of a Taisho era secret right here. That this shoulder joint right here, out of the packaging, this shoulder joint at the butterfly fell off completely. The arm just fell completely off the torso. It happened for Tanjiro, and it happened for Zenitsu, but that shouldn't be any surprise because they're basically the same figure in this area. They're the same buck. And what happened was the peg for the butterfly joint wasn't seated in the peg hole in the shoulder joint right here. And when I was trying to push it in, it wouldn't stick. So it was a real easy fix. All I had to do was run this under hot water for a few minutes, loosen it up, push it back in, let it cool, and then it kind of formed around that peg. And there hasn't been an issue with that since I did that. As with the other two coming out of the packaging, Tanjiro comes with a pair of gripping hands. And he has a pair of clenched fists. Once again, what could have been an easy reuse, they went ahead and they gave Tanjiro his own sculpt for his katana. You can definitely see it in the handle right here, in the wraps. There's no tassels coming off the pommel. He has his black blade, which is really cool. And once again, we have the etching in the blade. And let me just bring in... losing focus for a second. But let me just bring in Zenitsu's. Is the etching in the blade the same? I can't tell. What do you think? I think the blades are the same. I definitely think the blades are the same, but like the pommels are different. And I'm fine with that. I am okay with that because this looks really cool. This looks real cool. I have the red coming through from underneath the wraps, and of course, it fits very well into his hand right there. And just like with Zenitsu, just like with Inosuke, it is a great size. It is a great scale for these figures. And then just like with Zenitsu, we have just this handle piece with a little tab right there so that we can just pop it into his scabbard. You do have to be careful so that you don't bend that little tab. It's a tight fit, and it only fits in a certain... Whoops. Oh, that makes me nervous. It's a tight fit, and it only fits in a certain way. With Zenitsu's, it's a little easier to tell which way it goes in because of the tassels. Tanjiro's is just a tight fit, but there we go. Once again, that looks really cool. But like I said, you can just you can just pop it in his hand and let him use it as a prop. And here are the three of them lined up, and putting the tape measure to them, we can see that they are all roughly the same size, coming in at 4 3/4, approximately 4 3/4, and approximately 4 3/4. And now for size comparison, here they are next to a couple of other Bandai Namco figures. From the Dragon Ball Super line I was talking about, here is Goku and Trunks. And you can see Goku and Trunks are just a little bit taller than the three of them. And I like that because I'm hoping that means that whenever they start to bring out the adult characters for this line, they will be taller than these three, which is as it should be. You know, something like Rengoku and some of the demons should definitely be taller than the three of them. So I kind of like that there's this potential for, you know, a little bit of upscaling from the figures. Here they are next to McFarlane Toys Avatar The Last Airbender 5-inch line. We have Sokka and, oh, I just forgot her name. Is it Katara? I can't remember. But you can see that the McFarlane figures are scaled up a little bit from these guys as well. And that's also good because that means there's also some potential for some cross collection right here that maybe some of the McFarlane figures would work against these guys as well. The only reason I didn't want to go with the McFarlane 5-inch line, there's two reasons mainly. One is the articulation. As you can see, these had much more articulation than these 5-inch figures would have that McFarlane puts out. And two, to be quite honest, I'm more trusting that Bandai Namco is going to see this line through to the end than McFarlane Toys will. Here they are beside Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series Snake Eyes and Hasbro Marvel Legends Hand Ninja. Here they are beside McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Arkham City Ra's al Ghul and McFarlane Toys Mortal Kombat 11 Sub-Zero. Here they are beside Playmates Toys Leonardo from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Stranger Things Mashup 2-pack, and Mattel Masterverse Masters of the Universe movie Skeletor. And finally, here they are beside NECA Toys Dungeons & Dragons Warduke and Grimsword. So I am really into these figures, in case you haven't figured that out. But I really understand that these are definitely a mileage may vary type of thing. Especially because right now it seems like there is a lot of Demon Slayer out there. McFarlane has 2 lines. We have this line from Bandai Namco. I think it's like SH Figure Arts or somebody has a high-end import line out right now. Plus all of the statues that are out. Demon Slayer really is kind of like the flavor of the month right now. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. Like, I'm especially glad that it's getting some notice, which is why we have so many options right now. For me, I really like these. These scratch the itch. These are what I wanted. They're highly posable. They look great. They're not expensive. They don't break the bank. They come in at under $20. They're on the shelves right now. Like, you can find them at Target. I think you can find them at Walmart. But as far as I know, as of the time of this recording, Target doesn't have them on their website yet or on their app. But you can order them from Amazon, which is what I did. I don't think Big Bad has these yet, but Entertainment Earth has them, but I think they're on pre-order. So they're kind of like a scattershot all over the place. I'll find some links to them and put them in the description below. I also know a lot of people won't gravitate towards these because they're kind of an odd scale. They don't really match up with anything. They don't match up with McFarlane's 5-inch line. They don't match up with any 6-inch line. They're kind of in a scale all their own. For me, personally, that doesn't bother me. Because these are anime, because these don't look like anything else I have, I really wouldn't be pairing them up with anything. That's why I wasn't really keen on going towards the 7-inch line, because you would figure for all of the McFarlane and all of the 7-inch figures that I have, I would want to get those to scale to the rest of the McFarlane figures that I have, but they still wouldn't really fit. For me, and for a lot of people watching this, this will probably really scratch that itch. Now, that's not to say they're perfect. No figure is perfect. For instance, I am kind of disappointed that the scabbards for the katana don't come out of their belt. If those could come out of the belt, I think you could get some really, really good posing, like sword drawing poses out of them. As it is right now, you can't really get, like, Zenitsu's thunder breathing stance, which is a little bit of a disappointment. You can get really close to it, though. You can get really close to it. Also, like I showed you before, that butterfly joint in the right shoulder of Zenitsu and Tanjiro, that is annoying. I'm not going to lie. But, like I told you, it's an easy fix. It's one you shouldn't have to do, but since we do have to do it, at least it's easy, and it seems to only be a one and done. I was really excited about this wave, Wave 1, when I heard about it. Then when I saw it, I really knew I had to have it. I'm equally excited about Wave 2. I'm only assuming that Nezuko is going to be part of Wave 2, and I'm kind of hoping she comes with her box, because that's one thing that Tanjiro is missing. It would be cool if she came with, like, a box that some way you could, like, strap it on his back. That would be really cool. With what Bandai Namco has done with Dragon Ball Super so far, we've gotten the Saiyans, we've gotten Trunks, we've gotten Golden Frieza, we even got Broly. Maybe not all scaled perfectly well, but I feel like with the amount of figures that we've gotten with that line already, I feel comfortable and I feel safe that, like, Bandai Namco is really going to do some justice with this line. So until we have more from this line to talk about, play well, everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, thank you for watching.